Let's convene our open session. We just came out of closed session. Do we have a report, City Attorney?
We do have a report on one item. Item 2B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. The City Council did authorize the City Attorney's Office to commence litigation to obtain an order appointing a receiver to mitigate substandard conditions at 12921 Lorna Street, and the vote was unanimous.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Beard?
Here.
Councilmember Bowie?
Here.
Councilmember Fawn?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Here.
And Mayor Nguyen.
Yes. I'd like to ask our Assistant City Manager, Kingsley Okereke, to deliver the invocation, and then following that, we'll all rise and please rise, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance right after.
Okay, Heavenly Father, God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our great city of Garden Grove. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. And help us to speak with charity and restraint. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to ask our Garden Grove Unified School District Board President, Dr. George West, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join me in the pledge to the flag, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you and welcome. We have a couple of presentations tonight.
Mayor and council and honorable council members, tonight we're recognizing the Garden Grove Unified 2015 Teachers of the Year, Debbie Redenbaugh, Ellen Fields McLeod, and Luz Adriana Alba.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And Mr. Okereke will read the spotlight.
Thank you. The Garden Grove City Council is very proud to recognize Debbie Redenbaugh, Ellen McLeod, and Luz Alba for being selected as the 2015 Garden Grove Unified School District Teachers of the Year. Will Debbie, Ellen, and Luz please stand or come forward a little bit? Debbie is a special day class and resource specialist program teacher at Peters K-3 Elementary School. She works with students with mild to moderate learning disabilities and at-risk students. Debbie was nominated as one of the Garden Grove Teachers of the Year by her principal, Michelle Pincho. According to Michelle, she's never witnessed a more dedicated, compassionate, or motivated teacher than Debbie. Debbie has helped teachers create behavior management plans for students who are at risk, and she has been instrumental in providing students access to extracurricular activities. Next, we would like to recognize Ellen from Hilton D. Bell Intermediate School. Ellen works with students with severe disabilities. Ellen was chosen by her colleagues to receive the Teachers of the Year award. According to Superintendent Dr. Gabriela Murphy, Ellen works hard to ensure that her students are prepared for life outside of the classroom. Her students collect recyclables to fund weekly outings and cooking lessons. What started as a small fundraiser now brings in about $5,000 a year. The money raised from all these recyclables fund Ellen's annual Thanksgiving feast, which her students cook for more than 250 people. Last but not the least, we would like to recognize Luz Alba from Garden Grove High School, an 11th grade English language arts teacher. She designed a course on Mexican-American literature and culture to meet the demand created by our diverse district and multicultural state. Luz's principal, Steve Osborne, testifies that Luz accomplished something which every teacher strives for. She draws our students into complex discussions that require critical thinking, analysis, and synthesis. Luz is also the student body team coordinator and she started the school's yearly talent show and the Glee Club. At this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to present Debbie, Ellen, and Luz Alba with a gift of recognition for their dedication to their students and for their hard work and commitment to the school district and the Garden Grove community. Congratulations.
Okay, we have another one.
Honorable Mayor and council members, item 3B is a community spotlight in recognition of the Garden Grove Unified School District's 50th anniversary.
Okay, tonight the Garden Grove City Council is pleased to acknowledge and celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Garden Grove Unified School District. Will the Superintendent Gabriela Murphy please come forward?
Yeah. She had a family emergency.
Okay. Somebody representing her? All right.
Three of us?
Yes, please, all three. Dr. George West, Trustee Linda Reed, and Trustee Terry Rocco.
Okay. The Garden Grove Unified School District was established in July 1965 from the merging of three districts: the Garden Grove Elementary School District, the Alamitos School District, and the Garden Grove Union High School District. The Garden Grove Unified School District is the third largest among 28 public districts in Orange County, employing more than 5,000 staff members and operating a total of 66 schools. It encompasses 28 square miles, serving most of Garden Grove and portions of 6 surrounding cities, including Anaheim, Cypress, Fountain Valley, Santa Ana, Stanton, and Westminster. The Garden Grove Unified School District vision is to prepare all students to be successful and responsible citizens who contribute and thrive in a diverse society. Their mission is to provide a rigorous and supportive academic experience that motivates all learners to meet high expectations. In 2004, the Garden Grove Unified School District received the Broad Prize Excellence in Urban Education. The award recognized the district as one of the best urban school districts in the country. As a result of the Broad Prize, $500,000 in scholarship were awarded to the school district graduates. At this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to present representatives of Superintendent Dr. Gabriela Murphy with a proclamation recognizing this 50th anniversary milestone of the Garden Grove Unified School District. It has been a commendable half-century of educational service to the Garden Grove community. Congratulations.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to convene the successor agency with the City Council meeting, and we'll take public comments right now. Oh, wait. I'm going to pull item 9A. This is the proclamation for Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Week.
And I will need a motion and a second.
I'll entertain a motion to approve item 9A.
I will second that.
I'll
Okay.
say I moved that one. Thank
Councilmember
you.
Beard,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie,
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones,
Yes.
and Mayor Nguyen.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it.
Did we-
Motion received 5 yes votes.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to call up Cecile Jung Marty Paramesa. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Unfortunately, Marty's not here, but Moshgan will be.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And Moshkan Mofidi. Would you like to say a few words? The microphone's right behind you.
Hello, my name is Cecile Chuang, and I'm a public health nurse and coordinator of the Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Program. My colleague, Moshgan Mofidi, is an environmental health specialist. On behalf of Orange County Healthcare Agency, we would like to thank you, Mayor Bao Nguyen, and council members for making this proclamation recognizing an important public health issue, and that's childhood lead poisoning prevention. Lead poisoning is particularly dangerous for young children because their nervous system is still developing, and lead is a potent neurotoxin that causes permanent learning and behavioral problems, and there's no safe level of lead. Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Week is an opportunity to remind families in our communities to focus on prevention year-round by avoiding lead exposure from sources such as chipped and peeling paint in homes, imported toys, jewelry, potteries, and candies, and traditional folk remedies. Parents also need to take care not to bring lead dust into the home on their clothing from their jobs or hobbies such as construction, battery recycling, welding, and firing range. Lead is a silent poison. Most children with lead poisoning do not act or look sick. So the only way to diagnose is getting a simple blood test. Children in publicly funded programs and those who live in housing built before 1978 are especially at risk. Parents should remember to ask their doctors about ordering that simple test. Our lead poisoning prevention team is available to conduct case management and home investigations for cases with high lead levels, to identify the sources of lead and remove it, and to make sure that the child's lead level decreases. Thank you again for making this proclamation.
Thank you, and thank you for educating our community. We have the proclamation right here. Your colleagues, would you like to join me? Okay, we'll move into oral communications. Thank you. First up, Charles Mitchell. Following Mr. Mitchell will be Josh McIntosh and then Adrian Holm.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and staff. About 13 years ago, a group of citizens of Garden Grove got together and started working on putting together a system for elections in Garden Grove, set up districts so that the members of the council would be elected in a single district for their seat, with the mayor being elected at large. Now, this is the map that we put together showing 6 council districts. Unfortunately, the council at that time decided not to consider our proposal in earnest. Now, the citizens of Garden Grove, the taxpayers, have to pay the cost of a legal case that they lost. They have to pay the cost of a consulting firm to put together a new district plan. Had they gone with the district plan that we had proposed, we would not be in the violation of California voting law as we are now. So, unfortunately, we now have to pay the legal fees for the court case we lost, pay the cost of a group of people putting together the same thing that we did. And the question I have is, if these districts are established, are the district offices going to be opened for the representatives on the council that live in each specific district? And are the taxpayers of Garden Grove going to be on the hook for paying the expenses of those offices so that people can go and visit their council representative? Just wondering. On another note, there is an event coming up November 12th. That's the day after Veterans Day. And that event is a grand opening. That grand opening is on Euclid, right up the street, at 12345 Euclid, and this is the AmVets facility. For those who are not familiar with AmVets, this is an organization that collects household goods, furniture, dishes, everything that someone would need to set up a household. And then when veterans return from overseas duties and get ready to settle into a home, they provide as much as they can to support them in their new households. The grand opening will be November 12th. That's on a Thursday. AmVets is between Chapman and Lamson on the west side of the street. It's a big building with a big sign, and you can't miss it. But 2 o'clock is when they're having their ribbon cutting by the Chamber of Commerce. So as many people as possible, particularly veterans, would love to have you attend that grand opening. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh McIntosh.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and residents of Garden Grove. I'd like to start off wishing Councilman Jones a happy birthday. What is it, 50?
Almost.
All right.
Getting there pretty quick.
And, okay. I, too, want to touch on the district election issue. Like many people here in the city, we're not happy about specifically one item, which is that we no longer get to elect a mayor. As big of a change as all this is, I think the potential for losing an elected mayor hits hardest with many of us. And throughout, however this unfurls, I will certainly be one that would like to challenge that portion of the new agreements. And just let it be said. Now, a few weeks ago, I had asked the council members to consider adopting the Mills Act again for this city, which would affect only a handful of properties, historic properties that have value to this city, and I'd definitely like to bring that back up again for future discussion, please. Now, speaking of historical, last weekend I think we might have had the coolest event in our city history, Open Streets 2015. Great job. Considering the heat, I think Grovers came out in force and had a good time. I certainly did. I'm happy to have been one of the entertainers that day. That was a lot of fun. I don't think I could go 10 feet without seeing somebody I knew and just enjoying the day. From what I hear, we had no incidents as far as needing police services for anything. It went smoothly. We had merchants from up and down Main Street participating. I think one of the greatest things of it was all of the council people and city staff working right alongside residents doing artwork inside of the Black Umbrella Art and Tattoo Studio. I mean, as much as they had to kick and scream to open up a business here, they really contributed, and the Lampshade project was very cool. So that was great. Garden Grove Neighborhood Association, thank you, and Downtown Business Association, thanks for having the beer court. That was definitely great. The pineapple beer was my favorite, as you know. Kim Hoy, you called it the bedroom of the city, or the living room. I'm sorry, the living room. That was something else. The living room of the city, and I think we had a nice family reunion. I think it was just, even though we had the crazy heat, it was great. I think I just heard over and over, why don't we do this all the time? Why don't we do this more often? And I certainly hope that departments and members of the community will work to make sure we have more events like that. It was great. Okay, enough of that, because we've got more stuff this weekend. This weekend, we're going to have what is now an annual Indie Film Fest returning to Garden Grove. The event this year is absolutely free. No charges for movies. They'll be shown on inflatable screens in the park, in the Village Green, as well as short films being shown in the Black Umbrella. And that begins at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Also, this Saturday, at the Garden Grove Community Garden, located at Garden Grove Boulevard and 8th Street, the GG Community Garden is asking people to come down and help them pull weeds and make it look nice. And in return for that, you'll get a free barbecue lunch and beverages. The temperature is expected to only be 78 degrees this weekend, so it won't be the torture we went through last week. So if you've never been down to our community garden, please do so. It's a really cool thing downtown that people often just drive by and don't take advantage of. Thursday night, we are having a Sugar Skulls class in making sugar skulls for Day of the Dead, which is a November 2nd celebration. Day of the Dead, right here. And that class will be done a $25 art fee, and that's at Black Umbrella Thursday night, 6:30 to 8:30. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. I hope everyone will get out and be involved in their community. It was great last time. Let's keep it going.
Great. Thank you. Adrian Holm. Following Ms. Holm will be Stephanie Klopfenstein.
Mayor, City Council, and staff, I'm Adrian Holm, and I am against having my right to vote for mayor taken away from me. I feel this was done on a closed-door session. What happened to the transparency, Mayor? You spoke about that when you were running for office. I also feel that the residents of the city have a right to decide if they want this change or not. I don't think it should be forced upon us. Thank you.
Thank you. Following Ms. Klopfenstein will be Maureen Blackman.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Stephanie Klopfenstein. I'm a board member of the Garden Grove Neighborhood Association. I want to say happy birthday to Mayor Pro Tem Steve Jones. And before I talk about the Halloween party that we're going to be having, Verla Lambert, who's also a board member of the Garden Grove Neighborhood Association, couldn't be here this evening, so I'm going to speak for her. She's written an email here. It says, Mayor, each council member, and city manager. I will not be able to attend city council meeting on October 13th, sending my concerns about the change of format of voting in November 2016 election. Due to a lawsuit decision I feel was made in closed session, somehow I missed the notification. I, Verla Lambert, 50-year resident of Garden Grove, I am for district representation, but I feel I have a right to vote for our mayor. The position is for the city as a whole and deserves more than just a temporary umpire. Don't take my vote away, please. I heard talk, yeah, next Congress will elect our president. How do you feel about that? As far as the lawsuit, I feel it is bogus fraud. If an individual feels they lost in a prior election because of race, could it be that race is not eligible to vote? They need to fix that first. I am eligible to vote, and I do not approve of my taxes to pay out this type of lawsuit. Thank you for your time. And these comments, again, were from Verla Lambert. So on to the Garden Grove Neighborhood Association Halloween Festival. That will be October 24th at 5:30 in the evening. It is right over off of Lamson on Laura Lean Street in Garden Grove, 92840. The address is 12421 Laura Lean Street. A neighbor was gracious enough to have this party, which gives it a really great community feel. It's a great night for families to come. We have candy, games for children, music. Kids are welcome to wear their costumes. We have food. We're going to have a fortune teller. There's a little scary graveyard for kids to walk through. And again, it's just a wonderful opportunity for neighbors to come out and meet other neighbors and have some good, wholesome fun with their family. So again, that's October 24th at 5:30 p.m., and that's our Halloween festival. I did leave some flyers in the back for anybody who'd like to take one, and you can find more information about it on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Maureen Blackman, and then John Holm, and then Tony Flores.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Happy birthday, Steve. I heard you had 200 people singing it to you today. I don't think I can get that many. I want to say thank you to staff and council and the residents and the businesses in Garden Grove who put on what I consider to be a very successful open streets. One of the most impressive things of the events, in my opinion, was Public Works, the police department, the gang unit, the community policing. Home Depot had a big turnout. That area over there really, I think staff knocked it out of the park. I really appreciate the time they put in. I know Kim Hoy and Jennifer and I were working from sun up to sundown, and I appreciated seeing them hand in hand with the businesses on Main Street. There's a few things we could improve on, but all in all, like dialing the weather down 20 degrees probably would have helped, but I think everybody had a really good time. Thank you. Tonight I was talking about 9E, which says their approval of an agreement with Compass Demographics to develop a by-district election system and appropriating the funds. I don't know if in this agreement for 9E, if it also includes, specifically in the report, I didn't notice that it said that it was about the election at large for the mayor, or if it's going to be on rotation. If that's in there, I would say that we should maybe put it on pause until we figure out if that's the direction we want to go, or if it's just contracting for the Compass Demographics to do the work, but not specifically drilling into the details. I don't know if the people at home really know about the facts, but that on September 28th, council met in closed session due to the fact that it's litigation. I don't think it was anything, to be devious in that regard, but it was litigation to say that it was an ex-candidate who was unsuccessful in his bid for the council, and he was suing because he felt that if there was districts, he would have a better chance to win. So in closed session, 4 votes by our council agreed to settle the case by moving to 5 districts, but that the mayor would be on a rotation basis so that each district would have their turn at being the mayor. In other words, everyone gets a turn. Like when a child is given a trophy just for participating, and even kids know that's bogus. The settlement takes away the will of the people. The voters had decided that they wanted a mayor at large, and it's our belief that the voters should then overturn that if they decide that, yeah, let's go with the rotation basis. The Garden Grove Neighborhood Association's lawyer wrote a letter protesting the division into not districts, but specifically the caveat that the mayor would be on a rotation basis. So what I would kindly ask if you could please hold that vote, and because we think it would be premature and you could be wasting the taxpayers' money by spending too much on a map that may not hold in court if the voters decide that they too want to exercise the right to sue their city for voting rights. We're giving away too much too fast. Rick has rights and we have rights too. Thank you.
Thank you. John Holm, Tony Flores, and then Carlo Calderon.
Honorable Mayor, honorable members of the City Council, honorable staff. My name is John Holm. I'm a 35-year resident and homeowner and businessman in Garden Grove. And tonight's agenda relates to paragraph 9E, and that's the demographics firm. And I want to define what I think demographics means: a practice that attempts to establish a political advantage for a particular party or group by manipulating district boundaries to create partisan advantages in the districts. The resulting district apportionment is known as, gerrymandering. I really don't like the term gerrymandering. I'm glad that the council has put the nice sweet flavor of demographics on the equation. I come from a large city. I come from San Francisco. You don't get any greater diversity than you do in San Francisco. And in order for a city to come together, it has to dismiss the issue of different demographic groups, gerrymandering. Well, I think the city is pretty well stuck on that issue. You've had litigation, you've had negotiations on it, and through your mitigation, you came up and said, this is what we're going to do. But the real issue I see is the mayor. I like to see a mayor with muscle. I like to see a mayor that looks down the road. I like to see a council that's well-guided and well-driven. And the mayor provides the long view. They don't look at just what happens today or 30 days or 60 days from here. They look at what goes on down the road 5 years and 10 years, and that's the position we want to take. So the council is going to have to acquiesce on gerrymandering. I don't think you have any choice on that. But I do wish to have the vote for mayor separate and outside the council, because it provides at least the last vestige of, what should I say, participation by the citizens. We get a chance to vote for the mayor. That points out the leadership and the guidance. We have 5 councilmen. They all work together, but the mayor is the one that calls the shots. I like that, and I like the mayor to be voted in by the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Flores, and then Carlo Calderon, and then Linda Zamora.
Good evening, council, staff. I'm Tony Flores. Just wanted to go over a couple things here tonight. One of them being the number of phone calls I've had with different reporters, actually. I've been called a unique individual, a watchdog, activist, gadfly, and we all know that's doublespeak for just being a giant a-hole. So I accept that. But what I've never been called is a politician, and I'm kind of proud of that fact too. So having said that, let's talk about a couple of things regarding this issue deal. There was an article in the paper recently that quoted Mr. Fan about, let's see here, this basically lowered, regarding districts, this basically lowers the bar for candidates. And no amount of districting can cure an apathetic voting block. Got a few phone calls and some emails on that, thinking that's racist. In the context of this article, you know, he's being racist towards Hispanics, Latinos, or whatever name you're giving us these days. It's interesting. But being me, I called Mr. Fan. And to his credit, he answered the phone. I'm sure he saw it was me. Probably cringed a little. That's all right. But asked him what he meant by that. He did not mean anything of the sort. And I do believe him. But that leaves another question. What bar has been set by past or current council members? We've got a city that's got crime up over 42%. We've got a very low police officer to citizen ratio. We've got the Barlag Broadwater deal that's still hanging out there, where most of you sat silent while that went on, wasting time on resolutions that don't mean a whole lot to the American citizen. And I say that knowing what you folks, because 3 of you are born out of the United States. And that's fine. You all have a connection to where you were born, and we should all understand that, and we should respect that. And I think we do. But at the same token, you should understand that those of us who are born here in the States have a connection to the United States. So you need to respect that as well. Moving on, and again, regarding the district, so I believe that Mr. Fan didn't mean that, but again, if you're talking about setting a bar, you better know what you're talking about, because I haven't seen it yet. We've got a long way to go to fix things here, whether it be at the local, state, or federal levels. The politicians have put this country in, they've bent us over, basically. And you can't be politicians, you got to be representatives. So get that straight. And with districts, I may or may not run. I don't know, because I'd rather be a giant a-hole than to be a politician. I'll just leave it at that. Moving along, a couple of city council meetings ago, you guys passed adding on to the certificates of participation from 2010. I have a copy. Here's the entire book right here. What's interesting is that there's $10 million of this $22.7 million that was set aside for parking structure that was never built. This is the third document that I can point to where we put aside monies for a parking structure that was never built. Check out the DDA, or the Disposition and Development Agreement, from April of 1998 regarding the Marriott, excuse me, the Radisson. Supposed to be a 250-car parking structure. We put up some monies for that, was never built. We've got a number of parking structures that we've apparently funded but have never been built. I think we need to look into that. Recently, the mayor apparently was at the Hyatt with some union organization. We're waving around a resolution. We don't really know the facts, and so I really can't speak on it, but if it's true, we need to address a number of things, whether it be a civil code or another government code where you may be misusing your authority or having a conflict of interest there. I've already asked for that report. It's being processed right now, I've been told. And I'd like to see that because, again, we're talking about transparency, but we need to know the facts before we can actually make any accusations. Regarding the districts, I'm one of the authors of the proposal for districts. Myself, Dr. Eugene Zalusik, and Verla Lambert. In the original proposal, it had nothing to do with race or ethnicity. It had to do with representation, accountability, and accessibility. Thank you. And that's what we need to stick. But it also had campaign reform as well. So if we're going to do this thing, we need to do it right. Let's talk about campaign reform and keep the money that doesn't belong in our city out of it, so there's no big influence here. We've already had developers come through and basically rape the public. You folks need to take a stand on that. I believe we can do a lot better than what we've been doing. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlo Calderon.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, council members, Mayor Pro Tem, I believe it's called, and staff and everybody who attended this council meeting. My name is Carlo Calderon. I'm a patrol leader in Troop 1561, and the reason why I'm here is because I'm doing my citizenship in the community merit badges. So one of the requirements is to attend one of these meetings. And hopefully I get my merit badges because I haven't been getting a lot of merit badges lately because I was stuck with family. But you know what they say, family comes first.
Thank you. Somebody give this man a merit badge. Luna Zamora.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. I am here to thank you because I believe the Open Streets event was absolutely wonderful. I spent a lot of my day there. I saw a lot of you there, and it was It was great. I think you all went overboard. I'd like to thank the staff and all the hours that they put into it. It was obviously something that they prepared over a long period of time, and everyone put a lot of effort into it. And following open streets, I would like to have more open streets more than once a year. I think the citizens of Garden Grove are in desperate need of some sort of cohesive entertainment in our city so that our dollars remain in Garden Grove rather than going to a different city. So from an economic perspective, we do like to spend money to be entertained, and it will be great if we could just keep it in Garden Grove. So if there's anything I can do to help make that happen, I will be happy to. But congratulations and thank you for the event. It was wonderful.
Great, thank you. At this time, I'd like to give an opportunity to our council members to respond to these public comments.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Sure, Mr. Fan.
I want to take a moment to address what Mr. Flores mentioned about me being quoted in the newspaper of lowering the bar for the council candidates. I simply meant that with my history of walking the whole city, that if you walk the whole city, you'll be elected, regardless of your race or your background. And when you think about it in this sense, you take a chapter, a test. It involves 5 chapters. When you break it down to 1 chapter, it's going to lower the bar as far as how much you have to prepare for that test. I feel that as districts, it will limit, perhaps, the vision that each council member has as far as for the whole city. So I don't like districts. But when facing with the law and the lawsuits, I have to do what's right for our city and for our people. So I'm against district all the way, as my colleagues probably know, but that doesn't matter. The bottom line is you have to do what's right for the city. So we're going to districts, but I think we all have different opinions on where we stand, and intelligent people can differentiate on where they stand. And where I stand is I don't like districts. And when people call me for it, I'm going to speak my mind. I'm not a politician. I will speak what's right in my heart and what I feel is right. And if Mr. Flores differ and disagree with me on that position, then great. But I take great offense and objection to his perhaps characterizing this as a racist statement. It certainly is not, because of the fact that I feel that anybody who works their butt off and walk the whole city will get elected regardless of race, and that's where I stand.
Or they'll have a lot of enemies. What's that? Or they'll have a lot of enemies. Okay. Did you walk the whole city? No? Okay. All right. Colleagues, Mr. Bowie.
Just want to chime in on the mayor election that are going to be taken away from the resident. I explained this right at the special council meeting a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and there was not a lot of people there. So I just thought maybe I explain my position and my view. Even though I think there are both good and bad with the districting, but I am totally against the mayor election being taken away from the resident. Back then, I have told my colleagues that in my conscience, I felt that it is that we do not have the right to vote it away because this is changing the fundamental structure of our city government. And that I believe we should not given the resident a chance to voice their acceptance or reject of that notion. So I was proposing that we would settle the lawsuit with going into district and present the resident only 2 choices. One is district with a rotating mayor or district with a mayor at large, and let the resident make that choice. I felt that I was not successful in convincing my colleague, and I felt that I was not able to did a good job there. I believe our council, many of us do not believe in taking the mayor away, the mayor election away, but they felt being threatened by the increasing legal fee if they would not concur with that, and so I think that is where it was decided. Just want to explain my position, and that's why I originally vote no against the that settlement, but then I retracted, and I would like to abstain my vote because I would want to do not want to be misunderstood that I was against the district. I would be willing to accept the district, but there is no circumstance that I would accept the mayor election being taken away from the resident.
I'd like to ask our city attorney, if you would, to explain a little bit more about what's happening with the district elections to the extent that you can. And also, I would also like you to explain item 9E for the public as well. Would you please?
Sure. Let's start with 9E of the agenda. 9E is part of the implementation of the settlement agreement, and it's basically a demographic study that is actually required by state law. State law does have standards that need to be met when you draw district lines. Give you a couple of examples. I'll give you one example. The districts have to be nearly equal in population. In order to do that, you need to, look at the different geographic areas of the city and look at the census tracts, the population count, and then determine where the lines can be so that the districts can be nearly equal in population. That's why we need a demographic study. The lines are not drawn according to party or partisanship or even ethnic makeup of the population, but it could be one of the items that can be considered in addition to geographic and community interests and those sort of things, and that's in the elections code and the government code. So the demographic study the demographer that's being hired is being hired to draw 5 districts according to state law, and according to state law, we are going to have public meetings, at least 2 community meetings and at least 1 public hearing before the city council. Chances are that we're going to have more than that. I think we're estimating at least 4, if not 5, public meetings on this particular issue. So that's what we're hiring the demographer for, in order to draw the lines pursuant to state law. We're going to follow state law on that. With respects to the settlement and what we're doing now, the plaintiff did sue the city, and the complaint is posted on the city's website. It does challenge both the election of council members at large and also the mayor at large. The California Voting Rights Act applies to at-large elections, whether they be all council members at large or just a few districts and then 1 council member at large. And that just for the public, I can cite to Elections Code section 14026, subdivision A, defines at-large method of election as and includes one in which combines at-large elections with district-based elections. And that is normally when you have an at-large elected mayor and then council members elected by district. So the California Voting Rights Act does apply and prohibits the use of this hybrid system when the plaintiff is able to show that the at-large elected mayor does limit the ability of a protected class from influencing the elections. And in the complaint, there are allegations that the directly elected mayor in Garden Grove does violate the California Voting Rights Act. So part of the settlement is to, and again, this is a settlement of litigation, includes going to districts for all council members. I also need to point out that the mayor in Garden Grove does not have any special powers over the rest of the city council. The mayor has one vote, just like the other council members. The mayor does not have the right to veto, does not have, the only additional authority the mayor has is to appoint members to the different commissions. But the appointment is subject to the approval of the city council. So really, all the mayor does is nominate citizens to the different city commissions. And then the only other power the mayor has is to preside over the meetings. The plaintiff's attorneys pointed that fact to us. Unlike other cities like Los Angeles, where the mayor is not part of the city council, but the mayor is kind of like a little governor, like in the state of California. In those situations, there is a definitely difference, and the mayor is not part of the governing body. They're not part of the city council, and therefore the California Voting Rights Act wouldn't apply to that type of mayor. So in order to be exempt from the California Voting Rights Act on the mayor's office, we would have to really change the mayor's position in Garden Grove to be something similar like the city of Los Angeles. So what we're doing and what the city council approved is a settlement that was not unilaterally decided by the city council, but was negotiated in a mediation with an appointed retired judge. And the city council approved the settlement that the plaintiffs agreed to, and we presented the settlement that the plaintiffs agreed to, and that is what the city council approved, basically a proposal that was brought forward as recommended by a mediator. I don't know if there's anything else you need me to explain. There's a lot. I mean, I can go on
thank you.
for a long time.
I think that's sufficient. Mr. Bowie?
Mayor, I would like to chime in.
Sure, Mr. Bowie.
Mr. Attorney, with all respect, I would like the public to understand that that is his personal view, that the mayor have no power other than just the one vote in the city council, and by that he implied that the mayor have no significance, and therefore he's implying the removing of the mayor election have no impact one way or the other. That's his personal view. Obviously, the mayor have many other power and decision, one of which is the vision and making sure that the economic development in our city would excel. I would not appreciate at all his comments by implying that the mayor, whether having him or not, it doesn't matter because he's just one vote in the city council, and I just want to make sure that the public, it's entered in the public record of such a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Bowie. So, thank you, City Attorney. I would like to add that with 9E, it does give an opportunity to our community members to be engaged in the drawing of the boundaries. And I encourage all those who are interested to participate in these public meetings. They're really important, and it also gives an opportunity for us to meet our neighbors as well. I know that Linda Zamora, our planning commissioner here, that's president, spoke earlier. She was involved in the process at Garden Grove Unified School District when they redistricted as well. So this has been a decision that we've made as a council, and the decision stands. So hopefully we can move forward and look towards this future together. We may not know exactly what it looks like, but that's okay. That's just a part of it. So, if there's, yes,
yeah,
Mr.
just a
Beard.
comment on 9E. We're hiring a demographer. We're not in a unique situation as a city. Other cities have gone through this. They've gone through the litigation. We've avoided significant litigation moving forward. I think it's debatable on the elected mayor versus the rotating mayorship. Just a point of information, most of the cities, the vast majority of the cities, I would say only 8 cities elect their mayors directly. The other 26 have them council members, and it's rotated amongst them. So it's not, that would not be a unique situation at all. In fact, the majority of cities throughout the County of Orange do that as well. So we're going along a path, and we've been given legal advice. We're standing by that legal advice. It puts the city in a better standing for future litigation or potential for litigation. It was a negotiated settlement. I don't think I think it's fair to say all the council members would prefer an elected mayor, just out of tradition, out of past custom for the city, but it will work with or without an elected mayor. The mayor will represent the city. In essence, there will be 5 elected representatives on the city council. Who runs the meeting is role and responsibility of the mayor. And so the ceremonial duties can be a function of all the council members serving in that position. It gives them a view of the entire city in that capacity as a mayor for that term that they're on. So I think it will benefit the city. I am a proponent of district elections. That's no secret. This was not my path that I wanted to go to reach that, but we are reaching it. And I think it'll be more accessible. Districts will allow people access to their representatives, more accountability, and most of all, it will have some effect on campaigns as well, raising funds and such. So I think it will be a benefit to the city. Things will need to be worked out. It is debatable on the elected mayor versus a rotating mayorship. So, and that's the essence of democracy. That's what makes our city great. That's what makes America great. We'll move forward. We'll have direct or representative democracy in this city. And I think we've chosen the best path as a city council, and this demographer, the professional that we're hiring, has also been done by school districts. It's been done by other cities. So that's the direction we're headed. Whatever legal course may arise is subject to the courts. I think we're headed in the best path for the city for the right reasons.
Thank you, Mr. Beard. Nicely put. And, before I forget, because last time I wanted to bring this up, Josh McIntosh brought up the consideration of the Mills Act adoption in our city. I would like to take this opportunity to move to agendize that item for a future meeting at this time. And I'd like to have a second on that, if there is one.
I thought we had asked that before, did we not? Like in the last meeting, I thought we had asked.
We already
just
agreed
some basic research about.
Right.
So what happened to that? Are we going to?
We are studying the issue. We're planning to bring it to your attention on the 27th, and your meeting on your 27th.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Wonderful. Check on that. All right, let's continue on. Let's see, where am I? I'm going to recess City Council and hand over the gavel here to our Mayor Pro Tem, Chair of the Successor Agency.
Thank you. Call the October 13th meeting of the Successor Agency to order. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Yes, I would. By any chance, would you like to take a recess at this time to celebrate your birthday?
Oh, yes.
Or did you want to wait?
Can we do that, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
All right, birthday.
Okay, then we'll recess for 5 or 10 minutes. Go. Thanks. It's a heavy duty.
Thank you.
I don't think I have. Did you grab an agenda?
Yeah, I have. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, right on. Okay, we will reconvene the Successor Agency. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Okay. Member Bowie?
Yeah.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Fan?
Here.
Vice Chair Beard?
Here.
And Chair Jones?
Here. Consent items. We just have approval of the minutes and approval of the warrants. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Call the vote.
Member Bowie?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Fan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Beard?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes.
Motion received. 5 yes votes.
Thank you. Items for consideration 6A, adoption of resolution.
Mr. Chair, item 6A deals with the issuance of tax allocation bond by the successor agency to meet its obligation in relation to the DDA with the Water Park Hotel, which is almost complete. And we have Greg Blodgett here who will give you a short presentation, and also we have our bond counsel who is also helping us draft all the legal documents in relation to the bond issuance. But before we get there, I just want to point out to you, you do have a yellow, which is an update of the agenda item from the last one that was published. And just pointing out to you a couple of things that we clarified. In the original on page 2, in the third paragraph, it did say in the original one that went out in the aggregate amount to net $47 million, but it's actually in the aggregate amount necessary to net $42 million, which is the DDA obligation amount. And also, we have attached, as attachment 2, in your yellow, which was not part of the original one, the letter from Garden Grove MXD, which is the McQueenie Group, notifying us that they are within 6 months of completion, which is a requirement that we needed in order to proceed with the arrangements to go ahead and issue these bonds. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Greg Blodgett to give you a short presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Okereke. So the purpose of this report is to request agency adopt authorizing a resolution authorizing and approving issuance of tax allocation bonds to fund Successor Agency's obligation to pay $42 million to Garden Grove MXD under the Disposition Development Agreement, DDA. Also to approve related agreements with fiscal, financial, and legal counsel and consultants required to complete the bond issuance. So the agency is in compliance with AB 126 or 26 and AB 1484. And then also on February 6, 2013, Successor Agency received a final and conclusive determination from the Department of Finance that the Garden Grove MXD agreement is an enforceable obligation. Also, November 8, 2013, the DOF approved an implementation agreement confirming the issuance of tax allocation bonds to pay the developer $42 million 30 days following the date the water park opens for business. And then most recently, September 17, 2015, developer provided Successor Agency a letter indicating based on the current construction schedule, they anticipate opening the hotel on or before February 16, 2016. The details of the bond are as follows. Agency will issue a bond to fund Successor Agency obligation to pay developer $42 million, and then the true all-in interest cost of the bonds will not exceed 5.7%. The underwriter's discount will not exceed 0.5, the principal amount of the bonds. Also tonight, we're requesting agency approve related agreements with fiscal, financial, and legal counsel consultants required to complete the issuance of the bond, including Urban Futures as financial advisor, the firm of HDL Cord & Cone as a fiscal consultant, retain the law firm of Stradling Yoka Carlson Routh to serve as bond counsel, and retain the law firm of Jones Hall to serve as disclosure counsel for this transaction. Also to select Mizero Financial Incorporated, Ramirez and Company Incorporated, Stifel Nicholas and Company as underwriters for this issuance. So at this time, staff recommends adopting the attached resolution authorizing the issuance of 2016 tax allocation bonds and authorizing the director or his designee to transmit the resolution once approved to the Oversight Board for approval, and approve related agreements with fiscal, financial, legal counsel, and consultants required to complete the issuance of the bonds. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions of staff at this time? I have a few. What's the timing on this? Like, when does this actually get priced? And
the law authorizes the agency to issue bonds to meet its enforceable obligation. You do not owe this money until the hotel opens for business or has a certificate of occupancy. Based on the developer's timing, that'll be mid-February. The staff is bringing you this resolution now in order to commence the rather lengthy process of having this bond financing approved, first by the Oversight Board and then by the Department of Finance. The expectation is that you would go into the market in the early part of next year, and have the money concurrently with the time that you owe it. And most importantly, not before. You will not close the bond issue and have the proceeds unless you owe the money to the developer. Mid-February.
Thank you. I just want to make a few comments before we go to motion on that one. Just that it's been exciting being involved with this project, with this process, all the way back since inception and going out to RFP and just sort of everything that happened and transpired. It's been a long road with a lot of ups and downs and abolishment of redevelopment in between. And even without that, I mean, this is a huge and very complicated project with a $285 million budget and a very complicated capital stack that comes together to make it all happen. So just kudos to everyone involved to piece this thing together in such a way that the piece that the agency contributes was carefully planned to not be at risk or not to ever put the general fund at risk. And I really admire that and give kudos to that. So this was really exciting to see this thing this far along. A true public-private partnership with McWhinney, a wonderful organization that we've stuck together and weathered this storm of State Department of Finance and abolishment of redevelopment. So exciting that we're at this point. With that, unless there's any other comments, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Just call the vote.
Member Bowie?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Aye.
Member Fan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Beard?
Yes.
And Chair Jones?
Yes.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Thank you. Any matters from agency members? Seeing none, we will adjourn back to City Council.
Okay. Thank you. We're on consent items. We have 9B through 9J.
I'd like to pull 9B.
Okay. I'd like to pull 9H.
I would like to pull 9E.
What was that, Mr. Beard? I mean, sorry, Mr. Bowie?
9E.
Okay.
9H.
Okay, we have the balance, which is 9C, 9D, 9F, G, I, and J.
Move the balance.
Second.
I'll call for the vote.
Okay. Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones?
Yes.
And Mayor Nguyen?
Aye. Okay, let's start with Mr. Beard, 9B.
Yeah. The only reason why I pulled 9B is because I work for the County of Orange. Just to do a disclosure, I do not work for this agency where the grant is a part of, so there's no conflict of interest for me.
And same for me as well, too, Mr. Mayor. I am with the DA's office, but we are not under this other office that's mentioned here in 9B.
Okay, does legal counsel have any advice?
Yeah, if it doesn't involve their department, then there's not a problem.
Okay.
Move it.
Move
Second.
approval. Oh, sorry.
Please vote. Second. Call for
Was
a vote.
there a second?
I second.
Okay. Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones?
Yes.
And Mayor Nguyen?
Aye.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay. Mr. Bowie on 9E.
I put it because I put it because I want to vote separately on that issue. That's the
Okay.
only reason.
I'll move 9E.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Abstain.
Okay. Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones?
Yes.
And Mayor Nguyen?
Aye.
That's 4 yes votes with Councilmember Bowie abstaining.
Okay. 9H, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, and Kim, you really didn't need to come up, but I only pulled this just to kind of make a positive comment or two. So there was a lot of great comments about open streets and reimagine and all the things that have been happening in the city in the last couple of years. And a big part of that has to do with a learning curve that went through about how to find sources of money and how to find sources of grants. So I just want to give kudos to John Montanches, to Kim, to staff, not even just on this grant, but on others that we have tapped into in all things pertaining to active transportation and bicycling and open streets and just sort of family health in general. There are pools of money out there that we can continue to source, and this was one of them. This just has to do with the approval of executing the second year of this with Community Action Partnership of Orange County. So kudos to our staff. And a side note of thank you to Michelle Martinez from Santa Ana City Council, who's also very active with this and helped kind of bring some of these groups to the table for us to talk to. So with that, I'll move it.
Second. And I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Nguyen?
Aye.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Item 10A. This is John Rodriguez to fill the vacancy on the Traffic Commission. I'm going to move this item.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones?
Yes.
And Mayor Nguyen?
Aye.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Congratulations, Mr. John Rodriguez, and thank you for your service. Item 11.
Item 11 is an award of contract to American Asphalt South for on-call rubberized asphalt pavement slurry seal on various city streets. And Bill Murray, the Public Works Director, is here to give a staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Pomeroy. Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Tonight, council is being asked to award a contract to All American Asphalt for the on-call construction services to slurry seal various streets. Currently, staff is working to repair select residential streets in preparation for the El Nino rains. The preparation work by staff includes the repair of failed pavement sections and applying crack seal to the streets. An on-call contract is requested to place a slurry seal over the street sections repaired by staff as a final step. This process is the most cost-effective manner to protect as many residential streets as possible within the department budget. For streets that require a more robust repair method, staff included option A in the bid. Option A is simply the placement of an asphalt overlay over the repair work done by staff. As staff works on select residential streets, some streets may begin to show failure patterns that cannot be repaired by a simple slurry seal. In those cases, the street will be overlaid with asphalt. Option A work will be billed on an hourly basis to a maximum of $300,000, and staff will be responsible for ensuring all work is completed within the established department budget. Staff's goal will be to repair as many streets as possible given the funding available. Staff received and opened 3 bids last month and determined that All American Asphalt was the lowest responsible bidder. The winning bid of $376,400, along with the $300,000 going to option A, for a total contract award amount of $776,000, and $400. 76,000. Okay, just over $776,000. Should the council decide to award the contract tonight, the contractor can begin work by the end of October and should be complete by December of this year, weather permitting. This work was included in this year's department budget and will be paid for with gas tax funds. This concludes staff's report, and I'm available should you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Any questions?
Just a point of clarification,
Sure.
Bill. I think you had said that it was an all-American asphalt, right?
Mhm.
However, it's actually American Asphalt South, right, that got the bid?
Yeah, that's their specific name.
Okay, because I see both American Asphalt listed, All American Asphalt listed, and also American Asphalt South listed, so to make sure that we have the right vendor.
I'm sorry, you're correct. It is American Asphalt South.
Okay, so to make sure. Thanks, Bill.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones,
Yes.
and Mayor Nguyen.
Aye.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Thank you. 11B.
11B is approval of the construction remodel of the council chamber at the Community Meeting Center, including Americans with Disabilities Act improvements. And Janet Palaio is here to give the staff report.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This evening, we would like to request approval to proceed with the ADA improvements and remodel of the council chamber in the Community Meeting Center. If you recall, last summer, staff began working with LPA Incorporated to design Phase 1 of the CMC remodel. The first phase included the remodeling of the roof, the lobby area, Butterfield rooms, the meeting rooms, and the front office in the CMC. The City Council requested that staff consider a second phase, which would include the remodeling of the council chamber. At this time, we would like to request authorization to proceed with Phase 2. As part of the remodel, the final ADA upgrades would bring the CMC to ADA compliance. The rendering that I'm going to be displaying, right here on the screen, will show some of the following improvements that will be done. There will be an addition of a ramp. So if you could see to the far right, there will be a ramp that would be added to lead to the dais. There will be leveling of staff seating. So staff, the current seating is a little raised. So that would be leveled. We would be removing 12 seats from the first 2 rows. So 6 from each side, leaving about 10 seats in the center. And that would be for ADA access to have seating for wheelchair. We would be lowering the podium. We would be adding and upgrading all the audio visual. That includes new monitors for the City Council members. We would be replacing the floor finishes. We would be replacing the window coverings, and we would be adding some mesh shades to that. We would also be painting, patching, repairing. So those would be the renovations that would be done to the chamber. So this kind of gives you a visual. There will be a logo that would be added, and there will be a new voting system that would be also replacing the current one. So to proceed with Phase 2, the contract with LPA needs to be amended to incorporate the preparation of the audiovisual engineered drawings for bid and for construction administration. The projected cost for construction, administration, and remodeling of the council chamber is approximately a total of $450,500. Of these projected costs, $375,500 is eligible to be paid through the Park in Lieu Fee Fund. The cost to replace the audiovisual equipment, approximately $75,000, is not eligible using our Park in Lieu fees. So this expense will be absorbed within the community services current existing budget. At this time, staff would like to recommend that City Council approve the amendment with LPA and authorize that $375,500 be allocated from the Park in Lieu Fee Fund for the completion of the ADA improvements and remodel of the council chamber. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Thank you. Just clarification, is it just a visual, or did all the chairs move to the left all the way up against the wall? Like, is there a walk aisle on the left side of the chairs anymore, or not anymore? There still is? Oh, okay. It looked like the chairs got moved all over, and I was wondering if it would make it. I was wondering if that was an ADA issue or something to make the other aisle wider, or.
Right.
Okay.
No.
One more question, Mayor.
So how many chairs will we have in the room once we complete that?
It's 63. 65, actually. 65.
Yes. How many are there now?
We would be removing 12, so there's 77, yes. Do my math.
Will this remodel allow better audio into the other overflow rooms? I realized that in the previous meetings, when we have overflow, it is very difficult for the people from that side know when they are called to go to to the podium to speak, and so sometimes we lose people, there. Are we going to address that issue as well?
Are you referring to the delay that we have sometimes between the rooms during the...
Yes, and also the audio is difficult to hear in that room. We heard a lot of complaints about it's difficult to hear.
I think it's because the audio is just coming from the television and there isn't any separate speakers.
Like speakers?
Yeah.
The current plans don't incorporate any additional speakers to be able to take care of that issue at the present time. But we could look to that with the audio consultant.
And also, are we using our current chairs, and will the carpeting be changed? Because it looked like the schemes, it's the same carpeting.
Right. This is just a rendering. There will be floor finishes that will be done, and we also are looking at other chairs that will kind of go a little bit more with, for the dais, I think we're looking at replacing the current laminate that's there and changing it to a gray color. So we're looking at also replacing the chairs. Not the audience chairs, though, just the chairs for the council and for staff.
Okay, but we'll reuse the chairs that we have now.
Right. Those were actually refurbished about 7 or 10, about less than 10 years ago, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Lots of changes happening in Garden Grove.
Yeah.
Move approval.
Second it.
Call for a vote.
Councilmember Beard.
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie.
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones.
Yes.
And Mayor Nguyen.
Aye.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, moving into matters from council. 12A.
Well, I call for this discussion because there seem to be more public requests for documents that seem to fall into the category of being exempt. Most recently, there is what prompted this is a request from Mr. Flores, where he would like to have a copy of the police report for an incident at the Hyatt Hotel. And just want to say that on Friday morning, I got a couple phone calls from residents asking me if I knew anything about an incident happened at Hyatt, and I told them I don't know. And so they kept give me their story about the mayor, involved with some of the other union protester at the Hyatt executive suite. And because I don't know anything going on, so I couldn't comment, I talked to our city management office, and I was generally brief about it. Not enough for me to know to comment one way or the other than to say that, yeah, I know that there was some incident going on there. Apparently, the day after that, Monday, I got an email from Mr. Flores, which addressed to the city attorney and the city manager office, and CC I believe they CC the city council on it. So we talked a little bit about it, and the difficulty that I was explained is that because it is a police incident report, the city is being exempt from release that to the public. And our city attorney have reviewed the incident report, and he concluded that there is nothing wrong with the mayor activity there. He believed the mayor did not violate any law. However, I believe that based on the ethic training that I have just completed about a month ago, I believe that elected officials have to be trustworthy and fair, and that our city policy is to be transparent. We want to maintain public trust. And in the FPPC training that I have completed, it is very clear. They talk about the importance of public perception. Public service ethics is not only about doing the right thing, but also about the public's confidence that indeed the right thing has been done. Public servants, which is elected official, must maintain a high standard of ethical conduct that promote public confidence, that public officials' actions are motivated solely by the public interest. With that quote from the training that I have completed at the FPPC training, I think it is important for our City Council to adopt a policy to make public on anything that we said publicly, unless there is an ongoing investigation. So that's why I felt that with the City Council, the City Attorney have already reviewed the incident report, and he concluded that there is no legal wrongdoing by the mayor, and that there is no ongoing police investigation. I think we, as a City Council, want to be on the high road and want to make sure that public perception of our activity are very good. And so I would like to bring this to the discussion so that perhaps at the next City Council, we would agendize this item to make sure that in light of the ethic rules, that when there is an incident report, and if that does not involve in any ongoing investigation, we would make that as our policy to authorize the release of that document to the public, so that public perception of elected official would be a good thing. And that policy would apply to only to elected official.
Thank you, Mr. Bowie. I'm looking for colleagues to chime in. If there are no one chiming in, we're going to move on to item 12B.
I'm just reflecting on what he's saying.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of food for thought there, Brother Fat. That's why I'm kind of digesting what you're suggesting. I agree that we should be very transparent and above par about what we do, but at the same time, the inverse of that is, there's also, the respect for the member who may be at the center of that storm that could possibly be used against that individual as a political gamemanship or something. So I think to make a carte blanche, we will release all investigations if it's no longer an active investigation, I think may be a little bit too much of a wide sweep. I think we should probably do it on a case-by-case basis. And as a matter of courtesy, just to the person who may be at the center of that investigation. So I'm just trying to digest what you're trying to say, and I'm not ready to opine one way or the other at this time, but that's where I stand right now as we speak about it.
I don't think I'm asking for an action or a vote at this time. I think what I am proposing is that we agendize it so that next week we can delve more into the detail. My whole purpose here is, we are elected officials. We should be held accountable for our statement, for our action. And by being open about it, being transparent, being open about it, I think it would give the public a lot more trust in what we are doing, that we have nothing to hide. Whenever we speak, we will be careful of our statement. That is the intent of my purpose. And this is for foregoing. I'm not asking to release the document that Mr. Flores requests. I'm talking about modifying our policy moving forward, that if there is an incident report involving the City Council, and unless there is an ongoing investigation that we need to be confident about it, then we let release it to the public. It's a policy statement rather than asking whether we should or should not release the incident report involving the Hyatt incident a couple of weeks ago.
Thank you, Mr. Bowie. So at this point, I just want to give some information in terms of procedure. This is the opportunity for you to discuss that, Mr. Bowie, because if we were to agendize a further item that would be actionable, that would require a vote of this council today and now.
Mr. Omar, is it right that if any member would like to agendize it, then it would only need two votes to put it on the agenda? Is that correct, or does it require the whole city council to accept it in order to put it on the agenda?
No vote is required to put it on the agenda for discussion. A vote is required if you want an action item to be agendized.
So if that's the case, then I would like to ask for a vote to put it on the agenda at next meeting.
For an action item?
Yeah.
Is that right?
As an action item.
Okay.
Not voting to approve it, voting to put it on an agenda so that we can discuss and decide whether we want, as a policy, to release it in the future.
Okay. I'll second that.
Please vote. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Beard?
No.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones?
Yes.
And Mayor Nguyen?
Sure.
Motion received, 4 yes votes, with Councilmember Beard voting no.
Okay. So I will ask Mr. Bowie to formulate that policy and present it to staff so that we have it all prepared for consideration to take action.
I would like the staff to assist me with that.
I do believe that we do have some municipal codes already in place, so we might want to take a look at that. Okay? All right. 12B. Mr. Bowie.
Again, I bring this into the discussion because lately I see, many of us are not exactly on the same page in terms of rule and procedures. For example, you have just heard me ask the city attorney to verify whether we need a vote to agendize a consent item. So clearly we are not on the same page in terms of the rule, and so I think this review of the procedure is important. Also, a month ago, the mayor have strayed away from our procedural when he want to respond to a comment during oral communication by the public. And Councilman Beard asked him, and then he kept overrule Councilman Beard. So I believe that it's time for us to spend some time and review the rule and the procedures. I'm not sure if we want to do that now or would do that in a closed session. And I would leave that up to my colleague to pick the time to do that.
I don't think we can do such a thing in closed session. Those items are.
I'm sorry, not a closed session. I mean a work session. I'm sorry.
Okay. I personally would like to see if you would like to nominate or ask another council member to work with you in a subcommittee on this, rather than having it be a study session. Would you be interested in that?
Sure. So work on this and present it to the city council at the next meeting? Of course. Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. Is there anyone else who would like to work with me on this?
Well,
okay.
I will volunteer. I think I'm pretty much up to date on Robert's Rules of Order and conducting meetings, but I can always learn more, and it's always good to learn new things if whatever I don't know. So yeah, I'm more than willing to work with you on that.
Okay. So I don't think we need a vote on that, but we are forming a subcommittee here. I'm appointing Member Bowie and Member Beard to be on that subcommittee to address item 12B on the city council procedures.
Mayor, just
Yes.
for clarification, we probably won't be ready for the next council meeting. The agenda deadline is already next week.
Okay. That's okay. So it won't be at the next council meeting, Mr. Bowie. Is that okay? It'll be
that's
at a
fine.
future one?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Control C. Mr. Stiles.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, so the Council has asked us to provide Council and the public with an overview of the options for the provision of municipal legal services and to offer some suggestions for the ongoing management and oversight of legal services for the city. You will recall back in May 25th, the Council approved a request by Mayor Nguyen to direct the interim city manager to prepare a report reviewing of options and so forth. At the July 14th, 2015 meeting of Council, that report was submitted. It was a preliminary report of a broad overview of things. Since that time, one of the projects that the interim city manager, Alan Roeder, completed before he left was a follow-up report to that work, and that's what's before you today. And in his report, Mr. Roeder basically outlines essentially two options for cities here in California and how we provide legal services to our cities. One is with in-house legal counsel, and then there are contract legal services. And typically, probably larger cities in Garden Grove with larger legal budgets sometimes are more prevalently, will have in-house legal services. And I think when we looked at it using Orange County's 34 cities, what we found was the contract legal service option was really the predominant choice of most cities that we have here, in the county. Mr. Roeder outlined a number of both pro and con sort of strengths and weaknesses of each system, but it's kind of interesting depending on, the expertise of the services you have. The pros and cons could be, one set of pros could be another set of cons. So it's, as you look at that, it could kind of go either way. I do want to mention that in an effort to focus on the cost of legal services, we asked the Association of California Cities OC to conduct a survey for us. Admittedly, it was not a statistically in-depth survey, but it did give us some good data about what other cities in Orange County are doing. For example, it asked, which best describes the legal services that your city uses, and of the 10 respondents that we got, most of them used contract services such as what we do here. If your city contracts out for legal services, are they obtained through an RFP process? And 75% of the respondents said yes, we use an RFP, and 25% said no, we don't. Does your city require that the provision of legal services be subject to market competition on a scheduled basis? It was kind of all over the map. They all said no, we don't, nothing in specific. If your city contracts out for legal services, when was the current contract awarded? Again, of all the cities, the 12 cities that responded, some had gone out in the last year or two, some haven't done anything in 15 or 20 years. So it was kind of a combination of a lot of different things. And we kind of asked, finally, what was the annual cost of your city's general counsel, legal counsel? Smaller towns obviously spend more, and up to about 1.2 million was the largest respondent city that got back to us and what their costs are. Here in the city of Garden Grove, we budget in the current fiscal year approximately $811,000 for our legal services at a rate of about $201 per hour. And again, that was pretty consistent with what some of the data that Mr. Roeder was able to gather about what the rate is that most of the cities pay for their legal services. We also, besides the results of the ACC-OC study, we also asked the firm GDB Ferguson to give us some analysis of what they do. They work with cities in the state. They spoke to us about how a lot of cities use what they call a hub and spoke arrangement for services. being that what you might do is have a variation where for your general law obligations you would use your in-house firm, but then when you have specialized legal issues that come up, you would have the option of going outside for different firms that might specialize in a specific area. And that's really sort of consistent to kind of how we do things here in our city as well. Obviously, we use Mr. Sandoval and his firm for our general legal services, but from time to time when we have something specialized, we will retain the option of being able to go out for those services as well. In the report, at the end of the report, we offer some suggestions that the council might want to consider for management and oversight of legal services. Of course, in our form of government, the law director reports directly to the city council, does not report to the city manager. Of course, our office works very closely, on a consistent and regular basis with their office. And there's 5 or 6 suggestions that we have there for whoever is providing services to us, how the council might engage in those. Things like establishing a subcommittee that could meet regularly with the law director, consolidate financial reporting for all legal expenses in our annual budget, how we review periodically the work of that they conduct. And again, Mr. Roeder's report that you have before you was designed to be kind of a high-level review of how some cities conduct this work. And at this point, it's our recommendation that the council receive and file this report and provide any further direction as deemed appropriate to the city manager's office as you may choose. So at this point, I wanted to submit the report to you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Stiles. This report is pretty comprehensive. Really appreciate the work that's been put into this. I noticed that, of those cities that answered, 9, they answered that they go for an RFP process, and 3, I believe, RFQ or another process. And with the current firm, we haven't gone to an RFP. And I think it's only appropriate that we do that since we go out for an RFP for all of our other city services. And we should know what our options are. And I personally am in favor of that. Certainly, in order to fairly consider our current legal firm, we wouldn't have our current firm write the RFP. We would have to have a different RFP written up outside of the firm that we're currently using, just to be fair. So that's what I'm in favor of. Colleagues, do you have any other input?
Like I mentioned when we discussed this earlier, I'm not sure when, but it's at least a couple of months ago when this thing coming up, that back then I expressed that because we have so many change to focus on, and so I had suggest that we would delay the RFP until the city manager come on board, and that we our city settle down and we giving him time to see and learn what's going on with the city, and then we would consider an RFP. So with that being said, I would like to ask the city manager, the new city manager, Scott Stein, to see where he is with the transition process and whether you think now is the right time to entertain an RFP for another law firm or existing law firm.
To the mayor and members of council, certainly, having been here 8 weeks now, I've been continuing my work with all the staff, and as we're going through some transition, we are in the process. A report that I gave you earlier, yesterday, the day before. We're in the process of beginning our search for our new community and economic development director. We're going to be going through a pretty extensive financial review process on how we come up with an integrated financial system that affects budgeting, payroll, everything. We'll be coming back to you later this year, early next year, with the results of that RFP and what we found out. That will be the piece that allows us to determine, what we want our new financial system to look like. And that's just the piece that helps us design that. It's not the cost of actually purchasing it, which is going to be a multi-million-dollar, more than likely, system. We haven't developed a financial system for the city in over 40 years, so we're kind of woefully behind in that fact. We're going to be taking all the staff through a management system review process where we're going to be working with all of our department directors on a top-to-bottom approach about how all of our processes work and how we work together. I know a lot of council members talk to me about different parts of the government that you think we need to spend a lot of time on strengthening and make them working more effectively. So this process that we're going through is going to be very helpful to us. My experience working with Mr. Sandoval since I've been here has been extremely positive, very professional, very helpful to me. But of course, Mr. Sandoval works for all of you. So, I am available to, follow up however council would like on any of your suggestions.
I think what the mayor and I think the council from the previous meeting indicate is because the current firm have been with the city for quite many years, it would be rightful for us to open up the process so that other law firms can participate. So the question is not on whether the current law firm is performing well or not. It's a matter of we need to be fair to other law firms and open up the process so they can be competitive. And I only agree not to open that up because at that time we were not having the city manager come on board yet. And so I want to wait until you come and settle down, and then we will revisit that issue. Now that you've been here for 2 months, and I understand we have a lot of things on our plate, you have the responsibility to look into that process, and you need to let the council know when you feel that will be right. It cannot be a year from now. It got to be a lot sooner than that. So I don't know whether you tell us the workload that the city manager office is currently taken up on. So you need to tell us whether we do it next month or 2 months or 3 months down the road. But certainly it cannot be a year.
Well, maybe if I may add, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I will be happy to give the council some of my thoughts on that matter, and I understand exactly what Councilman Bowie you're saying, and knowing that the law director reports directly to the city council, I did not want to be so presumptuous to step on the authority of all of you. But if you would like me at some point in time to come back with some thoughts about it, I would be, I'd be happy to do it.
Mr. Jones.
I'd like to voice a slightly different stance on that, and having sat on several different boards around the county where this issue has come up for various reasons about considering going out for council, and a lot of protracted debate back and forth in that regard. And in the other situations I've seen, what you kind of realize is that the firm you're with has a lot of tacit knowledge and a lot of history about the city and all the projects and all the involvements and all the police activities and just the various things. So I mean, unless there's some reason to think that you're getting gouged on pricing or some reason to think that there's a necessity for change, then I kind of prefer staying the course. So I would kind of err more on the side of saying, what would it take to change Omar from being the acting city manager to officialize him as actually, or to be the city attorney as opposed to acting city attorney?
Mr. Fan.
And if I may add to that, I think with attorneys like doctors, like any other professions, we may not necessarily want to go for the lowest bid as we do in most things, because sometimes you don't want to go to the lowest paid doctor because you don't want to know what's going to happen. And likewise, the lowest paid firm sometimes may be looking good on paper, but at the same time, it goes to personality, it goes to history, like what Steve says. So I would lean more towards if there's a cause to shake up the boat, then we should. But other than that, I would rather see how competitive our prices are compared to other cities paying for their hourly fees or whatever. Because unless there's a fear that we're being gouged or unless there's a reason for change, that history and that knowledge and that personality is very important to what happens and what comes out of the city attorney's office.
Mr. Beard.
Yeah, I'd like to echo some of the sentiments already expressed, and that's related to the question I have is why. I think the overriding concern is, it's even in the report here, the general opinion based on the report is that legal services are typically not put out for proposals unless one of two circumstances arise. One, concerns or dissatisfaction with the quality of services being provided. I think the current firm meets or exceeds those requirements. Number two, concerns over the cost of services provided. So I don't think it's very competitive. In the report it shows it's comparable to other law firms at $200 an hour. So if the question is we should do it just because we can do it and we haven't done it in a while, I don't think that's the proper justification for doing it. In all this preliminary surveys, the results in this report, I have to go with that municipalities do not routinely put legal services out to bid unless they have those motivating factors. I don't think we have them in this situation. I think what was said was that continuity, experience, historical background, institutional knowledge, those are the keys at this point right now. I think the law firm has those. We can contract out for specialized legal services, and we have done that. So I think we're at the perfect model. Definitely don't feel we should have any in-house attorney. I think the benefits outweigh the negatives for having contracted services with the firm we have right now. The question is, I think we need to focus on, and this learning experience for me in this report is oversight. Now, I wasn't truly clear that we, the City Council, are the governing body. We control, we have authority over that contract. It's not the city manager. So I don't think we have the proper oversight in place now as a City Council. I think we should work on that. I think we should work on the suggestions presented, and that's to consolidate the financial reporting for all legal expenses in the annual budget, assign responsibility for review of all legal costs, including third-party legal costs, and I think we should also establish a City Council subcommittee to oversee, conduct an annual performance review, which I'm glad this whole discussion is bringing about. I think we need to concentrate on that most importantly. Consider periodic meetings with the managing partners. Whether we do it with the existing or future whoever, we should be doing these things. Review staff usage of the city attorney's office. How much time am I devoting? How much time am I taking up to the city attorneys? How much my colleagues? What are they working on? Let's deal into the specifics here. Let's not. I think we have the quality legal services that we need. We just need to have a better use and oversight of those resources. I don't think an RFP is necessary, and in fact, I would discourage doing so.
Mr. Bui.
Yes, I totally view it from differently. The fact that we are happy with the current legal firm does not necessarily mean that we should not look into if we could do better. Especially, this law firm has been with the city for how many years now?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years. There are a couple things that are basically wrong with that picture here. First of all, we are government. We have to be non-biased. We have to be fair. And here we are shutting down other legal services, having a say, having an opportunity to come to us and say, look, we can do better for you. We have more qualified people. We can be more competitive in terms of pricing, and we can provide a much better services. I'm not saying that we should get rid of this current firm. What I'm saying is we need to open up so that we can be fair and other firms have a chance to participate. My company outside of the city council work. My company is in IT consulting, and we provide a lot of consulting services to Fortune 1000 companies as well as state and county government. One of the basic things that we all have to comply to is that no contractor are allowed to work for a state agency for more than 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, no matter how good we do, we have to bail out for at least a few years before we are allowed to bid against. And so I think it is a good public policy that we are fair. Now, we are not going to limit the number of years a contractor would do work for us, but at least we have to be prudent and be fair and allow other people to have a chance to bid. That's all we are doing. I'm not going to argue that, hey, there's no, that this current legal firm is not doing a good job, and that it's now to thank you them and send them their way. I'm saying is we have to be right for our constituents. We are obligated to open up so that other legal law firms have a chance to come and convince us that they can do better for less. And maybe there aren't any, but at least we allow that to take place.
And that process, Mr. Bui, would not exclude the current firm from bidding as well.
That's right.
And who knows, the current firm might bid for less than what they're currently charging us. You never know unless you have the RFP. And I definitely do agree that because we are a government entity, that we do have responsibilities to the public, and a part of that responsibility is being fair. Like we do for all other city services, we have an RFP process. The current firm that we're using, we've used for over 20 years. There has not been a review of the firm until very recently, and that is actually a review of the city attorney, Tom Nixon, prior to the appointment of Omar Sandoval from the same firm as acting city attorney. And there were some issues that were brought up, and these weren't issues that were brought up from this council, but these were issues that were brought up from the director level among staff. So, we don't do the reviews, so I definitely agree with Mr. Beard that we should implement these things. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't go out to an RFP. Yes, we need to take into consideration the history and the institutional knowledge that the firm has. But we do need to weigh that against something. And right now, as it is, we can't compare it to anything because there is a resistance to go to an RFP. That's the issue here. So I encourage my colleagues to reconsider and do go out to an RFP so that we can have something to compare it to. That's our public responsibility. We can't do the best thing if we don't know what's out there. If we only stick to what we know, how will we ever know if we don't do an RFP?
Are you done?
Yes.
Counterpoint to that. With that logic, we could say experienced, solid legal advice we've received. Again, the main points or criteria that I've read in the report and I agree with are the cost. They're competitive, they're comparable, and then the quality of service. We've had an internal review, department heads, it's been reviewed. They're satisfied, again, exceeds or meets expectations for legal services. Now, if you want to go out for an RFP based on, well, they've been with us for so long, it's time to shake things up and just see what's out there, I don't necessarily agree with that, and the report doesn't support that either. Other cities don't. They go with what's experienced and reliable and has some background and history with those cities. If you use that logic, you could say, well, there's comparable or better pricing perhaps from OC sheriffs to provide your policing for your community. Are we going to go for an RFP and see how much they're going to charge? There's fire services out there that we could get a proposal from as well. I don't think we're going to do that. We're happy with the services that we're receiving. Just to say we can't go out for an RFP doesn't mean we should. So I don't see the logic, and I discourage my colleagues from going an RFP process, because I think we have in hand the capable and competent legal services that we need. I just think we need the safeguards or the oversight as a city council. And I would suggest implementing those relatively soon and then making a determination after a specified period of time, say 6 months to a year, preferably a year, and use that criteria to say, how did they perform over the last year? So they meet all the criteria of other cities, the current law firm, and I think we should stay with them. I don't want to buy a pig in a poke. I mean, any proposal that comes in it's a proposal. That's somebody seeking business with the city. It's a matter of references, maybe more of an RFQ process or an request for information from these firms. But I don't think we need to do that. We don't need to take the time. We have the law firm that we need and can continue on with, knowing the quality of their work at the right comparable price. So why should we pursue something that we don't need to? But we do need to pursue management and oversight of our legal services.
Mr. Beard, excuse me, in looking at this report that we've received here, 5 out of 12 cities that responded, if your city contracts for legal services, when was the current contract awarded? 5 out of 12 recently awarded contracts within the last 3 years. Actually, 2 years.
Is that a question you want to ask?
This is on page 7 of 8. So 5 out of 12 cities recently, within the past couple years, had awarded a new contract for legal services. It's almost half. And to your point, and you're kind of comparing apples and oranges here by comparing us to the fire service. Our firefighters are our employees. Our city attorney and our current firm, it's a contract. Those are two different things.
If I may, I also see a big issue here, as we have a single firm remaining with our city for 20 years. I think the public, if I'm a basic resident, it would give me a big reason to concern, because perhaps we are too comfort to look to see whether the public may view that perhaps there's something going on here. Why are we keeping the same firm over and over and over and over again for 20 years without allowing other company to offer their services? Now, I'm not saying that we should, like I said, I'm not saying that we should automatically disqualify the current firm. What we are obligated to is open up the opportunity so other firms can also join to offer their services.
We don't know, because we've stuck with the same firm for over 20 years. And it wasn't until this year that we had the first evaluation of our city attorney, and that was right before he resigned. And that's why we have the current acting city attorney. So, Mr. Fan or Mr. Jones or Mr. Beard, would any one of you like to entertain knowing, just for ourselves?
I'd like to make one other comment with regard to the suggestions for management and oversight of legal services in the report on number 3, where it talks about a subcommittee. I would suggest that, or I would submit that, I think a quarterly review and the status of litigation and provisional legal services is something that's important to all of us. It's probably not necessary to create a subcommittee for that, but rather just to provide some sort of a quick quarterly update and report to all of us so that we all stay in the loop about what's going on in terms of legal matters.
I definitely agree with that.
I'm not a big subcommittee fan, because maybe they're necessary within a large organization or large boards to try and break things down, but I don't think we necessarily need that. We're small enough that we don't need a bunch of subcommittees with subcommittees. So.
Yeah, if we just have a written report too, I think that would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just a memo, yeah. That would
So
suffice.
to my question that's still on the table, to my colleagues, Mr. Fan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Beard, would like you to join with us to consider what options are available for the people, for our city, for the public, for our residents.
Mr. Mayor, what you're proposing is very reasonable. I believe that it's sound in its judgment. The reason why you have me, at least personally, on such a hard stance here and holding my ground is because I personally feel that this is a political issue to an extent. And I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, if I'm out of line, please forgive me. But this issue does not or did not come up until recently, until there's been a change of leadership here in the city. And it seems like it was a mandate. I don't know where it was from, but it was a mandate to change our city manager. And if that's the case, if there's a mandate by some sort of political reason, that's what I'm holding the line on. I completely support the fact that, yes, we should go to RFP if there's a need to go to RFP. But if it's because of a promise made, in a campaign trail or for a political reason, that's why I'm holding the line. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I do apologize. But the timing seems very fortuitous. And until I can see a reason why we want to change the law firm because of overpricing, because of bad legal advice or whatever, 20 years of experience, everybody seems to make it sound like it's a bad thing. But 20 years of experience is a lot of experience to have for a city. So I think that should work in the law firm's favor versus being a negative. So although I think that RFP is the right way to go on a lot of things, the timing of it and the reason why it has to be done now is something that I'm giving pause for. That's why I'm holding the line. So I'm not going to just say go to RFP because I really feel that it's politically motivated.
Councilman Fan, when this thing surfaces, I think in last February, 6 months ago, I too was concerned with that. And I was strongly opposed entertaining the change of the city attorney or legal services because of that concern. But at that time, I was and I think the council, if I remember correctly, agreed that we would entertain that, but not at that time, but at a much later time, perhaps 6 months down the road, we would entertain that. And I think now is once the city manager has been coming on board and we are moving forward, I think we owe it to the public to revisit that, and that's why I support it this time. If this is a politically motivated, I would certainly hold the line and say, no, we should not do it. But I believe that we need to continually look at reviewing the performance and see if there is other services that can do better for less, or even better at the same price or a little bit cost more. But we need to have that comparison, that choice, so we can make the best decision for our constituents. This is not to get rid of the current law firm. This is only an opportunity to see what other service is available. It is already almost a year since last November election. So I think it is us to move beyond that now. And that is only my thinking here. I want to do the right thing for our residents. And in this particular case, I believe the right thing is to open up so that we see what other legal services are available, so that we can select the best one. The best one could be the current law firm or someone else. I don't know.
Right. I definitely agree with you, Mr. Bowie. Mr. Fan, I sure hope that you would act on principle and not on speculation of political motivation. So, I think it's hard to decide based on speculation. I think, on principle, if you agree that we should go to RFP, then that's what you should go with. Because in principle, that's what makes sense. I wouldn't operate or decide, especially on behalf of our city, on speculation, especially speculation of political motivation. So there's only one direction left here since we've, I think, exhausted our deliberation. Mr. Bui, would you like to move to an RFP process to be agendized?
I would move to put it on the agenda for next council meeting.
Okay. I'll second that.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
What's your substitute motion, Mr. Jones?
That we would just officialize the current acting city attorney to become the actual city attorney.
I couldn't hear you. Could you speak up again?
Yeah, just to move that we would convert the current acting city attorney to become the actual official city attorney and move on from this matter.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
I'm going to take
Madam
a vote.
Clerk?
Yeah.
Yes. On the substitute
Councilmember
motion?
Beard?
Yes.
On the substitute motion, right. Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
No.
Mayor Nguyen? Mayor Nguyen, how do you vote?
Could you go in order, please?
Oh, sorry. Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember Fawn?
No.
And Mayor Nguyen?
No.
Motion failed, 3 noes. Your substitute motion failed.
I'll reintroduce the motion previously by Mr. Beard.
No, Mr. Bowie.
I'm sorry, by Mr. Bowie. My apologies, Mr. Bowie. I'll reintroduce the motion earlier introduced by Mr. Bowie to agendize going to an RFP process. And of course, we would work with staff, with our city manager, as a council to devise the criteria for that RFP. Is there a second?
You already had a motion and a second.
Oh.
Is there a second?
There already was before.
Yeah, prior. But
Okay.
since that, well,
Yeah,
I think
so
we
the
have to have another.
substitute motion failed, so now we take action on
Okay.
the original
Okay.
motion.
Okay.
Councilmember Beard?
No.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
No.
Vice Chair Jones?
No.
And Mayor Nguyen?
Yes.
That motion also failed. There's Councilmember Beard, Councilmember Fawn, and Vice Chair Jones all voting no.
Okay. I think we should think about this and bring it back since there were both motions were voted down and the council is certainly split on this. We should think about it, perhaps bring it up at a future meeting. Okay? All right. Before we adjourn, I'd like to give our city manager an opportunity. If you have anything?
Nothing today, Mr. Manager.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Beard?
Yeah, I'd like to wish happy birthday to Mayor Pro Tem Jones. I'd also, between the next meeting and now, it will be my wife's birthday, and I want to wish my lovely wife, Cheryl, a happy birthday. I love you. And congratulations to the Teachers of the Year that we recognized earlier. And my last comment is on the open streets. I enjoyed it immensely. It was a great event. The heat didn't affect it, and especially in the evening. It was alive. Main Street. It was exceptionally fun, and I hope to see it again next year.
Does Mrs. Beard actually watch these council meetings?
If she's awake, yeah.
Okay.
She's a teacher, so she goes to.
Happy birthday, Mr. Bowie.
Same here. I just want to wish my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Steve Jones, a very happy birthday, and may you have a grand year.
Thank you.
Mr. Fan.
Steve
Steve, happy birthday, brother. Also, thank you to staff for all your great work and hard work with the Reimagine Downtown. It was a great event, even though in the heat. I think we had a great and very successful event. Thank you.
Mr. Jones? Thank you. Happy birthday, Mr. Jones. And I want to remind everybody, Google and Garden Grove has partnered to launch a new program called Let's Put Our Cities on the Map to help local businesses create or improve their online presence through Google Search and Maps. The city will host a free workshop for businesses to learn about the program and assist participants in developing their free Google business listing. Attendance is limited to 50 participants, so please go on our website and sign up, or you can call 714-741-5280. The workshop will take place right here at the Garden Grove Courtyard Center on Tuesday, October 20th at 6 p.m. Mr. Stiles.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I did think of there was one item that I wanted to bring up with everybody. Just a reminder, the council has, I think, designated Councilmember Bowie and I to serve on the Orange County Homeless Task Force. And similarly, the mayor and I have met with some faith-based leaders here in the community. Those discussions and Councilman Bowie's and my involvement is ongoing. We attended the first meeting of the task force. Another one is coming up. They're trying to figure out more of a comprehensive approach for the entire community. We're also going to be doing some work with our police department and other folks to assemble all of the resources that are available to deal with the homeless situation here. And I'm sure the information that we gather will be shared with the folks on the Orange County Task Force. And I'm sure that Councilman Bowie and I will be coming back sharing more information with you. And secondly, I'm glad Councilmember Fond brought up the open streets, and I did want to also thank all of our staff for all the hard work they put into it. The folks in community services, community development. We had a lot of people put a lot of hard work into it, and very grateful to them for all of their efforts. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stiles, and thank you, Mr. Stiles and Mr. Bowie, for serving on the county-wide homelessness task force. We really look forward to hearing back from the developments there, since it is a county-wide conversation. Thank you, and good night.